anyways, yeah, I was supposed to make this video on Sunday, and it's now Thursday, so that's several days late. Yeah, I'm late on that hand. Okay, well, anyways, I made a commitment to be posting at least one of these videos every Sunday, but the key word is posting Sunday, not necessarily recording Sundays. So I will do better on that one front. Yeah, so I had my very first session with a therapist. Well, I guess I take that back. I actually had gone to one other therapist before, but then I completely blew him off after my first session with him, and then my second appointment, I just didn't even show up and didn't respond to his messages because I was in complete denial about getting therapy and treatment, totally avoidant. I don't know if you ever had that experience before where, you're in denial about that you could really use some therapy. And I go to certain things, but the official legit therapy, that for some reason I was very resistant about. And so I went to the first one. So I went to my first official regular therapy, and it was interesting. I shared and shared. She actually didn't talk that much. I ended up doing most of the talking, which usually is the case as far as I know. But it definitely had the feel of when I walked in there, kind of reminiscent of Sopranos style, and of course she shared that if there's any issues that come up that makes her think that I may harm myself or I may harm someone else, then it's her legal duty to inform the authorities or that sort of thing. And so I immediately said, "Oh yeah, you mean if I was a gangster in the Sopranos or something?" Which I don't know. I'm not sure she found that funny, but I guess I did, or at least other parts of me did. I don't know, but it was interesting. I've been resisting it like hell, but there's a lot of really cool options. Actually, a lot of people think they can't afford doing full-blown therapy because the sessions are really expensive. But there's actually a few organizations where it's the people that have been training to become therapists that then they're getting their final hours. And they've already been rigorously going through all the training, and so it's an opportunity, especially if you're just you have the choice between you can't afford it, really expensive, the best therapist, and then you choose none, versus someone who's gone through the extensive training. Maybe they don't have quite as much as experience as some of these other people that charge full-blown price, but there's things in California, there's one CIIS that I attended, and your first session is $25, and then they have a sliding scale based on your income that they charge you per session. So I think mine will be 40, 50, maybe $40-$50 per session, something like that, which is not so bad, whereas other sessions you might go to a therapist and you'll pay, $120, $150, $200 a session or something, which, there's a lot of people that's hard to budget for, because they got a lot of other things, especially if you're just in a state of where your life has gone to hell, and when you're barely holding it together, but I think it's really invaluable for sure. In this first session, I just was telling a story about how I had this really crazy altercation with this other guy, and at the house that I was living at last year, and how there was the one moment there was a standoff between me and him, and he was standing there with a 4-foot metal pipe in his hand. I might be exaggerating. Maybe it's only 3 feet. It was a long metal pipe though, and he was standing inside the house. I'm standing out in the courtyard, facing in the house, and it occurred to me. I was like, wow. It was like this very metaphorical thing where I keep creating these scenarios in which I'm the outsider. And the irony was that he was the house guest, and he was the one like fending against me, like trying to keep me out of where I was living, and like I was staying there, and I was the one who was paying rent to live there, and he was the damn house guest. And it was just this like mind F kind of thing. I was like, what in the hell? Like, how in the world? How, like, this is really screwed up. How is it that, he has the gall of thinking that, he was acting like, it was almost acting like it was his place and I had no right to be there kind of thing. And I'm just like, what? How did that create this situation? And then it dawned on me in that moment of sharing, when I'd gotten to that point in the story, how I keep recreating this sense of being an outsider, and that there's a part of me has this recurring story that I'm an outsider and that I don't belong. And then so even if I get close with a group and start building something really special with some group, there's some part of me that just starts getting uncomfortable and then wants to just set up a scene, in which I get become an outcast and I get cast out of the group, do something to just blow it all up. So that was a big aha moment. I had told that story a few times before, but it was something about being in that context of being in that therapist's office and knowing that I was sharing this with a clinically trained therapist, that it like opened up another perspective, another context for the situation, and suddenly I saw that pattern, and it was it was pretty great to have that huge insight, like, wow. And then I started thinking about all the other situations where that similar theme, it was a recurring theme throughout my entire life. And, I guess just right all the way down to childhood, where it's that whole thing of, I don't belong. Something's wrong here and I don't belong. All right. Well, that's it for now. Go check it out. Till next time.